Well, hello, friends, and welcome back. And today I really want to talk about a topic which I have been educating pharmacists and other healthcare providers on. If you have heard about nutrient depletion, so nutrient depletion, and you don't know what that means, this episode is for you. This episode is about talking about the medications that deplete nutrients in our body. I'm going to break that down for you. So in this episode, what's going to happen is I'm going to talk about the top 3 prescribed medications in the US. Do you know the top 3 prescribed medications in the US? These medications are very important. I'm a pharmacist, trust me. I know the pharmacokinetics and the pharmacology behind these medications. Very useful. But these medications, I call them nutrient thieves. They are nutrient thieves because they come into our body to do something good because our healthcare provider has prescribed these medications for us to take care of some particular thing that is needed. But then in the process of taking care of that thing, they steal some nutrients from us. And that's why I call these medications nutrient thieves. And we're going to figure out a way to be able to take these medications and then balance those nutrients that these wonderful nutrient thieves are stealing from our body. So I call that nutrient repletion. So nutrient depletion and nutrient repletion. So we're going to talk about drug-induced nutrient depletion. Let's get started. So I asked you in the beginning, what are the top 3 prescribed medications in the US? If you guessed that number 1 was Lipitor, you're correct. Lipitor, another name for Lipitor, the generic name is atorvastatin, and it is a statin. So statins, any medication that ends with the word statin. So atorvastatin, simvastatin, rosuvastatin, pravastatin, pitavastatin. All these statins are used to reduce cholesterol in our body. So when you go and your lipid panel or your cholesterol labs are measured and your total cholesterol, LDL, HDL, triglycerides are higher than they should be, your primary care will put you on a medication called a statin. That's usually first-line treatment for high cholesterol. So, and these medications work really well. Don't get me wrong. They work amazingly well to reduce our cholesterol levels. But when they reduce those cholesterol levels, one thing that these statins do is that they steal a certain nutrient in our body. They steal an enzyme in our body called CoQ10. And CoQ10 is very important. I think the best way for me to describe CoQ10 is like it is the spark plug of the cells, the mitochondria in your body. It produces energy. It helps the in the high school biology, they said the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, okay? So producing the ATP and all the energy that we need. So we need our mitochondria to stay strong, healthy, and active. But think of your mitochondria and your cells as a car, and think of CoQ10 as the spark plug of that car. Can your car go without a spark plug? Can your car start and go without a spark plug? We need a spark plug. So CoQ10 provides that energy for us. It helps our muscles to be able to stay strong and active and take care of us so that as we walk around. So let's bring this back. So when a doctor prescribes, so imagine that I go today to my primary care provider and they say, oh, Emla, you have high cholesterol. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put you on Lipitor because Lipitor is the number 1 prescribed medication in the US. So we're going to give you a prescription for Lipitor. Here's your prescription for Lipitor, or I've sent it to the pharmacy. I've sent it to Power Pharmacy. Go to Power Pharmacy and pick up your prescription for Lipitor. Another name for Lipitor is atorvastatin. When I go to the pharmacy, they're going to have the generic in a bottle, atorvastatin. Take 1 tablet daily, 30 with 11 refills or 9 refills, and then I will go and start taking my atorvastatin. But when the doctor prescribes this is what is in the guidelines. This is the first counseling for Lipitor. Every doctor, every nurse practitioner, every pharmacist who gives Lipitor to a patient has to tell the patient that there is a chance that this medication is going to cause some muscle pain for you. And this muscle pain could be rhabdomyolysis. It could go on to cause rhabdomyolysis. It could really, your muscles could hurt so much that you will not be able to walk. But it could just cause some general body discomfort or generalized muscle pain. And if this happens, stop the medication and give me a call. We can change it, give you a different statin, see how you do on that, or we can reduce the dose and give you, say, maybe if I started you with 20 milligrams today, I'm going to give you 10 milligrams, or we can have you take it every other day. So this is the number one counseling. This is what in pharmacy school, they teach us, and we teach the students in pharmacy school. When you give somebody a statin, the first thing you should be telling them is that this can cause muscle pain. This is number one side effect for statins. The fact that it can cause muscle pain doesn't mean you should not take it. Okay. So because it doesn't cause muscle pain for everybody. Okay. So what I want you to know is that you should not go ahead and, oh, I'm not taking my statin anymore today because Emla said it can cause muscle pain and my muscles have been hurting. It's because of my statin. Don't do that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the statin can cause muscle pain for some people. And if this happens, get back to your primary care provider. Get back to your physician who prescribed that medication. Tell them, hey, I'm having muscle pain and this is, so then they'll make this next step. The next step could be reducing that dose. The next step could be changing it but before we go down that road, hear me out. Okay.
This podcast is sponsored by Journeys, your path to intentional wellness. Are you feeling fatigue, brain fog, low energy levels, and suspicion of inflammation? Most health problems don't start overnight, and neither does wellness. With Journeys, you can take charge of your health before you have to. Every cell in your body is whispering to you. But when we ignore preventive medicine, we wait until those cells are screaming. Journeys helps you listen to the whispers. There are 3 different lab test bundles to choose from. Starting at $199 up to $479, we measure up to 125 biomarkers, most that are typically not measured at your annual wellness visit. Normal labs is not a diagnosis. We get the most complete view, including hormones, nutrient markers that support energy, balance, and healthy aging. Each journey includes a personalized recommendation, one-on-one care from your pharmacist, and follow-up support to turn results into lasting intentional change. It's more than data. It's guidance, accountability, and a partner in your wellness journey. Intentional living means paying attention, staying curious, and taking steps towards the health you deserve. Start your journeys today. Click the link in the show notes.
So when you give somebody a statin, when you start taking a statin, the statin there's a pathway in our body that produces cholesterol. One enzyme converts to another one, another chemical gets converted to another one, and then cholesterol is produced in the body. Okay. I want to be as basic as possible so you understand this. That cholesterol, that same pathway that produces cholesterol is the same pathway that produces CoQ10. So when you give somebody a statin, the statin goes right up here, that rate limiting step, and stops the production of cholesterol, reduces the production of cholesterol. It also reduces the production of CoQ10. So, and CoQ10 was going to help our muscles, feel stronger and help us feel better. So that is why when you give somebody a statin, as the cholesterol is reducing because you're producing less cholesterol, you're also producing less CoQ10. So this is why you have muscle pain when you start taking a statin. This is why some people end up with that muscle pain. So think about this crazy idea. What if every time you give somebody a statin, what if every time you started a statin, you started taking a CoQ10 supplement? Wow. Mind-blowing. Genius, right? How impressive. But this is what I do at Power Pharmacy. If somebody walks in with a statin prescription, I say, here, I'm going to use myself as an example. If my cholesterol, this is Emla, your friend Emla, and your friend, because your vitamin D is higher than 70. Let's keep that aside. That's a story for another day. There is another episode where I talk about vitamin D, and that is my number one requirement for friendship. Your vitamin D has to be 70 for us to be friends. And I'm just going to link that episode down there because I'm hoping that you are my friend, so that way your health can be taken care of. But I digress. But if I were to take a statin today, so my doctor were like, Emma, you're going to start taking atorvastatin today, or Crestor, which is rosuvastatin. I will not put a statin in my mouth if I am not going to put a CoQ10 in the same mouth. That's just me. From the knowledge that I have as an integrative pharmacist, I will not take a statin without taking a CoQ10. Just because I'm helping my heart muscles to be able to work better, and I'm helping my general skeletal muscle to be able to work better with that CoQ10. And then I'm preventing the chance of me getting muscle pain so that I can take my statin for longer, so that I can reduce my cholesterol. I can reduce the chances of me having a cardiovascular event in the future. So do yourself a favor. If you're one of the many people who are taking the most prescribed medication in the US, atorvastatin, simvastatin, rosuvastatin, if you're one of those people, or if you know somebody you love is taking a statin, share this episode with them so they know that you do not take a statin without taking a CoQ10. And that is just my humble recommendation. This is not in the guidelines, but this, as your integrative pharmacist, your community pharmacist, this is my recommendation for you. And when I ask you, do you have any questions for the pharmacist? This is your question I just answered. Because if your question was, why is my body hurting? Why do I have muscle pain? If you're taking a statin, this statin is a good medication, reducing your cholesterol level, preventing a further cardiovascular event. But this statin is a nutrient thief. And tell statin that I called it a nutrient thief. Tell him or her or them that I address them as a nutrient thief, because I know that that's what they are. They're reducing that cholesterol, but they're stealing CoQ10 from my body. And I'm not going to allow anybody to steal my CoQ10 from my body, because I need my muscles to be strong, right? And so I'm going to replenish with CoQ10. So here's the deal. I'm not even on a statin personally, but I take CoQ10. And I take CoQ10 for different reasons, because I need my muscles to be up and ready so I can work out, I can do all the things that I need to do. So to protect my heart as well, I take CoQ10 for that reason. So I'm taking CoQ10 without taking a statin. So what about you who takes a statin? What's preventing you from doing that? So I'm going to put a link in the show notes to Emla Naturals CoQ10, and I take a CoQ10 instead of a multivitamin. I'm just one person who doesn't take a multivitamin because I'm very targeted. And because I have done my journeys, I've tested my labs, and I know exactly what supplements that my body is asking me to take. So I take exactly those supplements. So I'm going to put a link to journeys on the show notes as well, so that you can do the test and you know exactly what supplements you can take. You take those supplements with confidence, because this is what your body is asking you from. So I really hope that you are sticking with me and learning the importance of realizing this nutrient thief and figuring out what we can do to install a good nutrient security system. So we know that, okay, statins are the thief. Instead of saying, oh, statin, you're out of here, I'm not going to take my statin anymore. No, you're going to take your statin, but then you're going to stack a CoQ10 on top of it. You're going to take that CoQ10 to prevent that statin from stealing CoQ10 in your body as we replenish it. So that was drug-induced nutrient depletion, and you taking the CoQ10 to replenish the CoQ10 that nutrient thief called a statin has stolen from your body, so that way you can stay at optimal health. So in conclusion, I really want to encourage you to make sure that you click the link in the show notes, do a journeys test, and share this episode with somebody in your life. With atorvastatin being the most prescribed medication in the US for the past 6 years or so, I'm certain that if you're listening to this podcast, you know somebody who takes a statin. Ask your friends, do you take a statin? Share this podcast that your friend Emla talked about. And this podcast is less than 30 minutes. You know, we have some time just to dedicate to our life. So I'm asking for a beautiful gift from you. And this gift is just the gift of sharing information so we can take action. Again, information without action is a waste of our time. So click the link in the show notes, schedule your journeys test, and come see me. There's a link also in the show notes to purchase our CoQ10 from Emla Naturals website. And do me a favor, continue to live with intention. And I will see you next week on Intentional Living with Emla. Be kind to your body.